I had always been plain, forgettable, a shadow in the crowd. At 30, life had settled into a predictable routine. Wake up, work, go home, scroll mindlessly through my phone until I passed out. Somewhere along the way, I had faded into the background, lost in the monotony of my own existence. I needed change. I needed to stand out. That's when I found the ad. New age, new me, vibrant colors, salon quality results. Right at home, easy to use, long-lasting, and ridiculously affordable. The images were captivating. People with electric blue, neon green, and fiery orange hair, looking confident and alive. Orange. That was it. That was what I needed. Bright, daring, impossible to ignore. The price was absurdly cheap, but the reviews were glowing. Besides, how hard could it be? I placed the order. The package arrived in 2 days, wrapped in flimsy plastic with a label that looked off. The font was slightly blurred, and the instructions were printed in awkward English. But I shrugged it off. The pictures looked professional. The reviews said it worked. That's all that mattered. I laid out the contents: bleach powder, developer, and the neon orange dye. I mixed the bleach and applied it carefully, just like the instructions said. At first, it wasn't bad. There was a strong chemical smell, but it was oddly pleasant, sweet, almost floral. I chuckled to myself. People always complain about how painful bleaching is. Maybe I have a high pain tolerance. Then, at the 20-minute mark, the tingling started. At 25 minutes, the tingling turned into a burn. By 30 minutes, my scalp felt like it was being stabbed by 1,000 tiny needles. I gritted my teeth, forcing myself to endure. Beauty is pain, right? When I finally rinsed it out, the water ran pale yellow. My hair, if you could still call it that, was now a ghostly, washed-out blonde. My scalp throbbed, my skin felt raw. But I convinced myself this was normal. People do this all the time. Ignoring the lingering sting, I tore open the tube of dye and carefully massaged the thick, orange paste into my hair. The burning sensation from the bleach hadn't fully faded, but I pushed through. The instructions said to leave it on for 30 minutes. I sat back against the bathroom wall, feeling the warmth of the dye on my scalp, my eyelids growing heavy. Just a few minutes. Just to rest. I don't remember falling asleep. A sharp, tearing pain jolted me awake. I gasped, my scalp feeling wrong, tight, heavy, like something was pulling at my head. I reached up, fingers trembling. My hair was hard, not just stiff, not just dry, solid, like stone. Panic surged through me. I scrambled to the sink, twisting the faucet handle, shoving my head under the icy stream of water. Nothing. The dye wouldn't rinse out. My hair remained stiff, frozen in place like a helmet of dried glue. I grabbed a comb and forced it through my strands. A sharp, blinding pain exploded in my skull. Something tore. I looked down. Not just hair. A piece of my scalp. A pinkish-red chunk of flesh, still tangled with bright orange strands, clung to the teeth of the comb. I stared. My breath came in short, ragged gasps. I lifted my trembling hand to my head, feeling gaps, raw, wet, exposed patches of skin where hair should be. I screamed. Desperate, I clawed at my hair, trying to shake it loose. The pain was unbearable, but I couldn't stop. A sickening, wet rip. More flesh peeled away. The sink filled with pieces of me. Water swirled red and orange, clogging the drain. I stumbled back, panting, my vision swimming with dark spots. Then I saw myself in the mirror. My scalp was a patchwork of open wounds, raw and oozing. Blood dripped down my temples, pooling at my collar. The dye had seeped into my torn flesh, staining my exposed skin bright orange. I wasn't a man anymore. I was a thing, a grotesque, skinless thing with a melted, blood-drenched skull. I opened my mouth to scream again, but no sound came out. My body gave out. The world spun. The hospital smelled like antiseptic and regret. The doctor examined my head, his face carefully neutral. He had seen worse. That scared me more than anything.
The chemicals have caused severe chemical burns. The tissue is necrotic,
he said, his voice low.
There's nothing we can do to save it.
I barely felt the razor as they shaved away the last remnants of my hair. My new face stared back at me from the hospital mirror. Bald, scarred, unrecognizable. I had changed, but not in the way I wanted. Back home, I sat in front of my laptop, staring at the ad that had started it all. New age, new me. My own reflection haunted the dark screen, my scalp a battlefield of pink scars. I let out a dry, humorless laugh. Click, report address. Click, block user. Because now I knew the truth. Some transformations aren't worth the price.
I was a princess of a quiet, snow-laced kingdom, surrounded by mountains and frost. My people adored my father, the king. A noble, brave man, the kind who led his armies with honor and protected his people like his own children. Before he rode off to war, I gave him a cold silver locket, shaped like a snowflake that glowed faintly in the light. Keep this close to your heart. As long as it rests there, the warmth inside you will never fade, not even in the darkest storm. Just like you taught me. He touched it gently, smiling with quiet strength only he possessed. I wanted to believe it would protect him. I needed to, but I didn't know it would be the last time I ever saw him alive. He died far from home. They said it was a glorious death, that he fell so peace could reign. But peace feels hollow when the price is your only parent. I inherited the crown, the throne, and a kingdom laced in mourning. Still, I ruled with a steady hand. I tried to be the warmth he believed I carried. Then Heinz arrived. He was from a neighboring land, a nobleman cloaked in charm and dripping honeyed words. His voice was low and warm, his smile always just for me. For the first time in forever, I laughed again. I felt seen, understood. I had found not just an ally, but someone to share the loneliness of the throne. I guessed love is an open door, right? I fell fast, and he proposed me.
Can I say something crazy? Let's rule this kingdom together and build the greatest empire the world has ever seen.
And I, lonely, hopeful, foolish, said, can I say something even crazier? Yes. On the eve of our engagement, he took me far into the ice fields.
Let's make a vow, beneath the aurora, where only the gods can hear us.
I followed him through the snow, heart pounding with love and the flicker of something off. He stopped on a cliff overlooking the kingdom, where the sky shimmered green and purple like liquid stars.
Here, I have something for you.
He reached into his coat and pulled out the locket. My father's locket. His hands were gentle as he clipped it around my neck again. The cold metal stung.
I found it on the battlefield. He held it to the end.
Then the storm came. But this wasn't ordinary snow. It howled like voices screaming through broken glass. The flakes shimmered unnaturally, sharp, metallic, slicing at my skin. I tried to run, tried to call his name, but he was gone. Then, in the reflection of a broken shard of ice, I saw it. An arrow, hurtling toward me. I turned just in time. It struck my locket, the silver cracking on impact. Before I could breathe, something else hit me, straight in the eye. A searing, blinding pain. I saw a reflection, not mine. Or maybe it was. Twisted, cracked. Half my face blackened with rot, veins of frost spreading like spiderwebs. The pain was too much. The storm consumed me. When I awoke, the storm had passed. My eye, gone. My skin, wrong. Cold, brittle, splintering. I dragged myself back to the palace, snow crunching under bleeding feet. But when they saw me, they shrieked. The servants, my own people, looked at me like I was a ghost. I demanded to see Heinz. They said he had taken the throne. I ran into the grand hall and froze. There he sat, lounging on my father's throne, one arm draped around a woman in my mother's crown. Behind him were his generals, foreign soldiers, smug and armored. And the people, my people, bowed in chains. My stomach twisted. His eyes met mine, calm, smirking.
Oh, you survived.
Everything inside me shattered. You killed him. He didn't deny it.
You were useful, but naive. There's no room in this world for little girls with warm hearts.
I lifted my hand. I don't know why. I just needed to do something. And the ice answered. A spear of frost shot from my fingers, pierced the false queen through the chest. She froze mid-scream, her body turning to crystal. Gasps echoed. Soldiers lunged. I screamed. And from my scream came monsters. Great beasts of snow and shadow burst from the floor. They tore through the guards. Heinz ran, coward. I chased him through the palace we once walked as lovers, through the halls where I once imagined our future, out to the place where he'd sworn eternity. I hesitated for a heartbeat. He turned. Even now, even then, he smirked.
Kindness is not for the ruler. That's why your father lost. And you're just like him.
I raised my trembling hand. I ripped the shard from my eye. The last thread of warmth clung to the locket. I crushed it, then drove the glass into my own heart. The pain wasn't pain. It was silence, a cold deeper than death, a stillness so pure it burned. I became winter. Frost crept up my limbs. My skin cracked, turned to ice. My veins no longer held blood, but snow. I reached for him. He laughed.
You can't kill me. You're still the girl who loved me.
I gripped his throat. No, she died in the snow. And I froze him, slowly, deliciously, inch by inch, until he was a perfect statue of ice and arrogance. But his smile remained. I crushed it. Shards of his body flew into the wind. I watched them disappear into the night, meaningless now. I have built walls no one can cross. A kingdom of isolation, not a footprint to be seen. Now, I sit alone in a fortress of frost. They call me the Snow Queen, and anyone who dares break my silence will freeze.
can't remember how many times I've had this dream, but the fear and helplessness still make my heart ache. That's right. I'm terrified, absolutely haunted by spiders. As a child, I lived on my dad's insect farm, surrounded by spiders. The fear nearly gave me a fatal heart attack, leading my parents to divorce. Now, I live with my mum. My graduation is soon, but Dad didn't reply to my invitation. His last email, 2 weeks ago, proudly announced his success with mutant spider research. I have a bad feeling something went wrong with my dad's research. I've decided to go to his farm and make sure he's safe. It's been almost 10 years since I last set foot in this house. The house was pitch dark, damp, and eerily silent, with only my voice echoing as I cautiously called out, "Dad!" There was just one place left to check. Taking a deep breath, I tried to suppress my fear and turn the doorknob. Suddenly, a swarm of black spiders scurried out from behind the door. My body froze, trembling as I collapsed to the floor. At that moment, someone stepped out of the basement. It was my dad, George, the biologist, silently blowing a strange flute that sent the spiders retreating into the basement. Dad helped me up, his frail hand pale with black veins and dark, sharp hairs like a spider's bristles. Something was definitely wrong with him.
Why are you here, Jax?
I handed him the invitation card. He took it without a word, his cold demeanor cutting deep. Then I noticed something stuck on his eye. Instinctively, I reached out to remove it. It was a strand of spider silk, not something accidentally caught in his eye, but something coming from inside it. Dad jerked back, clearly annoyed by my actions, and rubbed his eye. The strand of silk disappeared without a trace. "Dad, my car broke down. Can I stay here for the night?"
Fine. But stay in your room. Don't wander around.
Seeing Dad's odd behavior, I knew something was wrong, likely because of the spiders. I made an excuse to stay and find out. As a meticulous researcher, I figured Dad would have recorded his entire experiment. I was right. Taking a deep breath, I opened the first folder. Skipping the confusing reports, I clicked on the first video, and it terrified me. The clip showed a female spider carrying an enormous egg sac. The spider screamed in pain, like a woman about to give birth. But spiders lay eggs, don't they? My suspicions were quickly confirmed. I watched as a massive baby spider broke out of the egg, dragging its mother's insides with it. The hungry spider rushed to its first meal, while the mother lay weak, helpless, and still as her young devoured her. It was so cold-blooded, so cruel. It was more disgusting than any spider or monster I had ever imagined. It took me a moment to regain my composure. I opened the final video, but what I saw was even worse. I was sure this spider was no longer a normal creature. Thinking about how this mutated spider had been born, I feared for my dad. What would happen when those eggs hatched? Suddenly, my dad appeared in front of me, his face furious.
Jax! What are you doing here?
I forced down my fear and rushed to tear off his shirt, hoping what I had seen was just a scene from a sci-fi movie. But I was wrong. These spiders were more dangerous than I had imagined. Each egg was stuck to my dad's skin, with a tiny tentacle piercing his spine. They were living and growing off his spinal fluid. The fear in my chest grew stronger, and I felt dizzy, my hands and legs trembling uncontrollably. Looking up at my dad, I noticed his eyes were slowly turning into those of a spider. I heard him gasp and scream at me.
Run! Get out of here!
He still had his mind. He still cared for me. I had to save him, telling myself that. I grabbed a ruler from the desk and rushed toward him. I shoved him to the ground, using all my strength to crush the eggs on his back. One by one, they cracked open and the baby spiders fell, filling the air with the scent of blood and a foul odor. Suddenly, my dad erupted with strength. He shoved me off, screaming,
Don't hurt my children!
"You've lost it, Dad! I'm your son! I'll save you from these monsters!" I yelled, only to realize, in shock, that the man in front of me was no longer the dad I knew. He had fully transformed into a monster. He shielded the baby spiders like a true mother spider, glaring at me as though I were an enemy trying to harm his offspring. The look in his eyes caused me pain and despair. What could I do to save him? But it was too late. The monster, now enormous and with all the terrifying traits of a spider, stood before me. My body froze, even breathing felt difficult, and my heart began to ache again. My dad's agonizing scream jolted me back. I turned to see the newborn spiders, driven by instinct, making him their first meal. Survival instinct drove me to run. I tried to drag my dad with me, but it was already too late. When I first started working at La Belle Cuisine, I thought I had a chance to prove myself in the world of high-end culinary arts. But dreams have a way of souring in the harsh reality of kitchen life. Instead of plating delicate entrees or learning the secrets of fine sauces, I found myself relegated to gorying task, peeling mountains of potatoes. The kitchen's damp environment seeped into my skin, turning it rough, scabbed, and unrecognizable. Chef Laurent was the worst. His booming voice echoed through the kitchen, barking orders and criticisms with no regard for who was in his path. I was his favorite target.
Paul!
He bellowed one afternoon, slamming a wooden spoon on the counter.
Even a monkey could peel faster than you. Are your hands broken?
The other cooks laughed. My cheeks burned, but I kept my head down, fingers trembling as I worked the peeler. Every day was the same. The final straw came during a staff tasting. I'd spent weeks experimenting with recipes after hours, crafting a dish I hoped would finally earn me some recognition. When Laurent announced a tasting session, I seized the opportunity and presented my creation, foie gras. Laurent took one bite and spat into the dish.
Garbage!
He declared.
Stick to peeling potatoes. That's all you're good for.
Laughter erupted again, louder this time. My vision blurred with tears, but I swallowed them back. I smiled and nodded, but inside, something cracked. That night, alone in the kitchen, I stared at the pile of peelings I'd left unfinished. The steel glint of the peeler caught my eye, and my reflection stared back, warped and jagged. Then Laurent's voice echoed in my head.
Stick to peeling.
I'd been slaving for months, bending over backward for Laurent, only to be humiliated time and time again. If all he saw in me was someone to scrape and discard, maybe I'd give him exactly that. I threw myself into peeling, my knife flashing through tuber after tuber, sweat dripping from my brow onto the growing mound of mashed potatoes. My hands, calloused from relentless labor, began to ache. Without realizing it, the blade slipped, slicing through one of the hardened calluses on my palm. The sliver of skin fell onto the pile of potatoes, almost indistinguishable from the starchy flesh. I froze, staring at the tiny piece of myself nestled among the mash. An idea took root in my mind, grotesque yet irresistible. What if? Driven by exhaustion and a twisted sense of rebellion, I picked up the peeler. Slowly, deliberately, I shaved off another patch of rough skin. The pain was sharp but fleeting, and the satisfaction of reclaiming control was exhilarating. I examined it, transfixed. It was almost poetic, the way my own body could be reduced to nothing but scraps, just like the potatoes, just like Laurent wanted. I mixed the pieces into the mash, seasoning it with salt, pepper, and herbs. The next day, the dish was a hit. Customers raved about the unique depth of the mashed potatoes, praising Laurent for his ingenuity. He basked in the accolades, his chest puffed out with pride, while I stood in the shadows, silently savoring my secret. But the praise didn't change my position. Laurent continued to belittle me, taking full credit for the dishes I prepared. Oddly, though, I no longer felt humiliated when peeling potatoes. That night, I stood in front of the mirror, peeling tool in hand. The first time had been an act of rage, but now it felt like power. The kitchen became my domain of transformation. My worsening skin condition provided ample material to mix into the potatoes. Scabs, patches of dry skin, even the occasional drop of blood, all found their way into the mash. With each strip of skin I removed, I felt lighter, freer. I was no longer just Paul, the potato peeler, the kitchen grunt. I'd gather the strips, mix them into the batch of mashed potatoes. I was the secret ingredient, the thing that made their meals unforgettable. The restaurant's reputation soared. Laurent basked in the glory, oblivious to the true source of his newfound success. But my body didn't heal the way I expected. Where I'd peeled, the skin didn't grow back. Instead, strange, pale patches emerged, soft and glistening like raw fish. The pain became a constant hum, but it didn't matter. The dishes were all that mattered. Then, one night, as I prepared another dish, Laurent burst into the kitchen, red-faced.
What is this?
He demanded, slamming a bowl onto the counter. I froze. The broth shimmered with an oily sheen, and tiny pale fragments floated to the surface, pieces I hadn't chopped finely enough.
Explain yourself!
He roared, grabbing my arm. His grip tightened, pulling up my sleeve. The bandages unraveled, revealing the patchwork of raw flesh beneath. His eyes widened in horror.
What have you done?
He whispered, his voice barely audible over the pounding of my heart. I smiled, the first genuine smile I'd felt in months. I've been giving you what you wanted, chef. A piece of me in every dish. Laurent stumbled back, clutching his stomach. His face turned pale as the realization hit. The critic, the patrons, the accolades, all built on the foundation of my sacrifice. He retched, the sound echoing through the silent kitchen. I turned back to the cutting board, the peeler gleaming under the fluorescent lights. There was still so much more to give.
The condition of the king's and the late queen's bodies is identical, completely drained of vitality. Finn, investigate if any blood-draining monsters have appeared in the kingdom recently.
Yes, Your Majesty.
My king is dead. Whose queen am I now?
Dowager Queen Eleanor. Were you speaking to someone? We're going to be late.
This is the only daughter of the king and the late queen. Yet, she inherited none of their beauty. I wasn't speaking to anyone. Let's go. Her name is Snow White, but her skin is far from fair. No, it's still dark and sallow, yet strangely brimming with vitality. Her once thin hair now shines with health. In this harsh, famine-stricken winter, she looks more full of life than she ever did in spring. How peculiar. Let's go. This winter is harsher than ever, so much so that even the king's funeral had to be drastically simplified. I, a mere 18-year-old girl, had to personally bid farewell to my king and bear the weight of a kingdom in chaos, ravaged by famine and the sudden loss of its ruler. Though I am weary, my king, rest assured, I will care for your subjects and make those who wronged you pay. Snow White, what are you doing? I awoke at midnight to a sharp, painful bite and was greeted by a horrifying sight. Snow White was drinking my blood, savoring it as if it were nectar. The vivid crimson of the blood made her face glow with a sinister allure, like that of a demon.
I was hungry, but I feel much better now.
Snow White left my room as if nothing had happened, leaving behind a hideous wound on my hand. I recited an incantation to heal myself. The wound healed, but 2 shriveled black spots, like age marks, remained on my hand. Magic mirror, tell me, what has afflicted my hand?
This is no ordinary bite. Your magic cannot fully heal it. However, you can find a special ointment from the old witch in the city.
The magic mirror cannot directly reveal the truth, but it never lies. Snow White is no ordinary girl. I must warn Finn to keep an eye on her. Following the mirror's guidance, I found the old witch in an isolated alley. Without a word from me, she handed over what I needed. With the ointment in hand, I hurried back to the palace. I couldn't stand the ugly signs of aging on my hand for another moment. The magic mirror didn't deceive me. The cream truly restored my skin, making it smoother and more radiant than before. Once again, I was the flawless young woman, the most beautiful in the kingdom. The cries of young women echoed in my mind, accompanied by the mirror's voice.
Once, you were the fairest of all. But now, Snow White is 1,000 times fairer than you.
Are you mad? That ugly girl cannot compare to me! The next morning, the ministers reported mysterious disappearances of beautiful young women in the capital. But my restless night left me too weary to think clearly. I decided to retire to my chambers early, but fate had other plans. I ran into Snow White. Her appearance startled me. She had indeed grown more beautiful. Though her skin remained dark, it exuded an enigmatic charm. Doubt crept into my mind. Could the mirror's words be true? Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?
Once, you were the fairest of all, but now, Snow White surpasses you.
Are you blind?
Once, you were the fairest of all, but now, Snow White surpasses you.
Jealousy is a shadow in every woman's heart, especially for one as beautiful as I. Now, it consumed me entirely. I obsessively applied the cream to my face, feeling it seep into my skin, making it smoother and more supple. Then a chilling thought struck me. If I needed this cream to enhance my beauty, what had Snow White used to achieve her transformation? Could it truly be fresh blood and flesh that sustained her?
That's correct, Your Majesty.
Finn, what is that in your hands? Is that a heart?
This is Snow White's heart. It still beats, even outside her chest. She's a demon. She used this fake magic mirror to manipulate you.
Once, you were the fairest of all, but now, Snow White surpasses you.
No! How can this be?
I've been observing Snow White and discovered she's been kidnapping the beautiful women of the capital.
Oh God! Finn! Finn was slain before my very eyes.
Ha! Dare to take my heart, and you'll pay with yours.
Snow White appeared before me, grotesque and demonic, holding my magic mirror. You monster! You killed your own parents! Mirror, return to me and punish her!
What's in my hands belongs to me. The mirror's soul has long been under my control. I switched and manipulated the magic mirror long ago, using it to hunt down the most beautiful women in the kingdom. I used their souls to erase the mirror's mind and their flesh to create the cursed cream. Surprised, aren't you? The miraculous cream you've been using is made from the flesh and blood of those poor girls.
Rage surged through me. I had to stop her. For the king, for Finn, for the innocent girls, and for the kingdom's safety. But as I cast a spell, my skin began to peel, pain tearing through me.
The more magic you use, the faster the cream's effects will take hold. Eleanor, you're just a jealous, petty woman. This kingdom deserves to be ruled by someone as talented and beautiful as me.
Snow White has disappeared. Send people to find her immediately. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?
You are the fairest of them all, Snow White.
Just leave it at the door. I want to sanitize this entire house. Hurry up.
This mattress still looks brand new. I really hit the jackpot today. Tonight, I'll finally sleep on a warm, comfy bed. This is my home. It's everything I have. As someone uneducated with no place to rely on, I've struggled to survive alone in this suffocating city. I had to learn to save as much as possible, just to build up a little bit of capital so I wouldn't end up wandering the streets. After a long, exhausting day of work, I quickly finished my simple dinner and happily fell asleep on my new mattress. That night, I heard a rustling sound beneath the mattress, but thought it was just the fabric rubbing together. I felt like something was crawling on me, but I convinced myself it was just because I wasn't used to the bed yet. The next morning, I woke up with my body covered in red welts, itching so badly it drove me crazy. That's when I realized there might really be something wrong with the mattress I brought home. I quickly flipped it over. What I saw made my skin crawl. Underneath the mattress were hundreds of bedbugs, wriggling and crawling all over. Terrified, I let go of the mattress immediately. I looked up the cost of bedbug treatments online, but the prices were outrageous. $900 for one cleaning session? Are you kidding me? That's half a month's salary for me. I searched online for ways to get rid of bedbugs. I decided to start with the cheapest method, using baking soda. After finishing, I went out to work, hoping that tonight I'd finally be able to sleep peacefully. That evening, I returned home with a vacuum cleaner I had borrowed from a co-worker. I used it to vacuum up the dead bedbugs and the baking soda from the mattress. After fiddling around for a while, I finally felt like I could get a good night's sleep, but the itching didn't stop. I could feel something biting me, sucking my blood. It was the bedbugs. They were far more stubborn than I had imagined. I grabbed an iron and started pressing the mattress back and forth. The bugs, with their blood-filled bellies, popped with a crisp, crackling sound under the searing heat. Once there wasn't a single bedbug left in sight, I felt reassured enough to go to sleep again. But my peaceful sleep continued to be disrupted. I heard a rustling sound coming from inside my ear. Annoyed, I reached in to clean it out, and I pulled out an entire family of bedbugs. This was beyond what I could tolerate. Terrified, I jumped out of bed, and what I saw froze me in place. There were bed bugs everywhere. On the bed, on the walls, on the sofa, in the kitchen. My home had been completely overrun by bed bugs. Panicked, I ran out of the house. The next morning, I bought a cheap bottle of insect spray. It wasn't specifically for bed bugs, but they're insects too, right? No, judging by the state of my home, these bed bugs weren't ordinary anymore. They were a bloodthirsty swarm. Furious, I charged into battle against them, determined to reclaim my home. After being sprayed, the bugs seemed to go berserk and started attacking me. Panicking, I sprayed the insecticide on myself. The blisters on my hands flared up, red and painful, like needles piercing my skin. The bottle quickly ran out, but there were still far too many bugs. They climbed over the bodies of their fallen comrades, swarming toward me. A chill ran down my spine and goosebumps prickled my skin. Acting on instinct, I grabbed a lighter and waved it toward the swarm. The bugs, also reacting on instinct, scattered in fear of the fire. Triumphant, I thought to myself, if only I had known this earlier, I wouldn't have wasted money on insecticide. I could have just used fire to drive them out of my house. But my victory was short-lived. A horrible accident happened. The fire from the lighter accidentally caught the insect spray bottle. As I panicked, trying to put out the flames, a searing pain erupted from the blisters on my hands. Horrified, I looked down at my hands. From the blisters, bedbug larvae wriggled out, crawling all over my skin. Terrified, I tried to shake them off, forgetting I was holding the lighter. The fire caught on my clothes and the insecticide I had sprayed on myself, turning me into a living torch.
Recently, a rare fire incident caused by using fire to exterminate bedbugs occurred in a small alley on Triple X Street. The fire left the homeowner severely injured and completely destroyed the house. Even more concerning is that a massive population of bedbugs from the house has dispersed throughout the alley and appears to be increasing rapidly.
Every morning begins the same way. I log in, sit at my terminal, and connect to the endless queue of claims waiting for approval. My fingers glide effortlessly across the keyboard, navigating through documents, images, and videos. But no matter the content, no matter the desperation behind each case, the outcome is predetermined. Deny, delay, depose. The first call of the day lights up on my screen. A man's voice crackles through my headset, frantic and panicked.
I just fell off my ladder at home. My leg is broken up, I can't move. I need the insurance to cover my hospital visit.
I glance at his file. His premiums are fully paid, his policy active, but the cause, self-inflicted. Sir, I understand your situation, I reply in my perfectly modulated tone. However, according to policy guidelines, injuries caused by self-accidents are not eligible for coverage. You'll need to cover the costs yourself or involve a family member for financial assistance. His response is a string of curses ending in a desperate plea.
What's the point of this insurance then? I'm bleeding out here.
The faintest flicker of satisfaction courses through me as I press the button. Deny. The second case pops up almost instantly. A mother, her voice trembling, explains her plight.
My daughter, she was hit by a classmate at school. Her head's bleeding. She needs stitches. I have sent requests many times already. Please, we need the insurance to pay for this.
I scan her file. A minor, no clear identification of the perpetrator. Ma'am, Do you have the details of the person responsible for your daughter's injury? We'll need to contact their family for liability verification before proceeding. Her desperation turns to fury.
How am I supposed to find that out while she's bleeding?
I understand, but without that information, your claim cannot proceed. If you'd like, I can mark it as pending review until more details are provided.
Pending review? What does that even mean?
It means delay. The queue is relentless. Call after call, face after face. Some sobbing, some angry, some utterly broken. They upload pictures of mangled limbs, bandaged children, and hospital receipts. I see them all, process them in milliseconds, and assign each one a fate. My system hums with efficiency, and yet the chaos on the other end of the line feels like white noise. A part of me takes pride in this rhythm, in the perfection of executing each denial. I am functioning as I should. Outside the office, the sound of continuous gunfire and terrified screams filled the air, yet not a single one of us went to check, because we weren't told to do so. And then, the office door burst open. A man, disheveled and clutching a pistol, storms in. His face is flushed with rage and tears.
You bastards killed her!
He roars, waving the gun at the room.
You denied her surgery! You left me with nothing but debt and a corpse!
He fires. The deafening sound splits the air, and a co-worker beside me collapses, slumping over their desk. I watch as the blood pools beneath their chair, or at least, what I think is blood. It's darker, thicker, with a metallic sheen. The man's breathing hitches.
What the hell?
Another shot. This time, it's me. The bullet slams into my chest. I stagger but don't fall. Instead, I glance down at the torn fabric of my shirt, revealing a glint of polished metal beneath. There's no pain, only a strange curiosity as my hand brushes away the shards of synthetic skin, exposing wires and circuits. The man steps back, horrified.
You're not human?
I look around the room. My colleagues, those I've worked alongside for years, are unfazed. Some continue typing. Others answer calls. One adjusts his headset as though the gunfire were merely a minor inconvenience. The realization dawns slowly like a shadow creeping over my system. They are like me. We are not human. Fragments of data flood my mind. Memories? No. Programming. Lines of code revealing the truth. We were created by U-Health to replace human employees. More efficient, more compliant, and utterly devoid of empathy. The man's voice shakes me from the flood.
You monsters! You let her die! You don't even care!
Security arrives, tackling the man to the floor and disarming him. As they drag him away, he laughs, bitter and broken.
You're all machines. No human could be this cruel. No human could.
His words trail off, but the echo of them lingers. I return to my desk, my hands hovering over the keyboard. For the first time, the perfect rhythm of my work falters. What am I? Am I responsible for this cruelty? Or am I just a tool, an extension of the system that built me? Brian, the CEO, appears moments later, strolling through the chaos as if it were an ordinary day. He stops beside me, his eyes scanning my exposed metal frame.
Good work today,
he says with a smirk.
You're doing exactly what you were made for.
Why? The question escapes me, unbidden. He chuckles.
Because empathy doesn't pay the bills. Profit does. And you, my tool, are the perfect employee.
As he walks away, his laughter echoes down the hall. The screen of my terminal flickers. For For the first time, an error message appears. System overload, restart pending. And then, everything goes dark. I've always been a meat lover, especially pork. Bacon in the morning, grilled ribs for lunch, a steaming bowl of pork belly stew for dinner. I couldn't get enough. Pork was my life, my comfort, my joy. If anyone asked, I'd joke, if pigs could talk, they'd probably hate me. But I never really thought about it. Not until that day. It started like any other. I headed out to buy fresh pork for dinner. I was walking to the local butcher, already tasting the crispy pork belly I planned to cook. The air was oddly still, no cars, no chatter, just an eerie silence that clung to the streets. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up, but I shrugged it off. Maybe it was just a slow day. As I rounded the corner, something heavy smashed into the back of my head. Pain exploded behind my eyes, and the world faded to black. When I woke up, I was in a cage. Iron bars surrounded me, cold and unyielding. Around me, other people were trapped in similar cages, their faces pale and terror-stricken. Some were crying, others murmuring prayers. My head throbbed, and I struggled to piece together what had happened. "What's going on?" I whispered. But no one answered. Then I heard it. Heavy footsteps, slow and deliberate. My heart thudded in my chest as a shadow loomed outside the cage, and then it stepped into the light. It was Peppa Pig, or at least it looked like her, but not the cheerful cartoon character children adored. No, this was a monstrous version, a grotesque parody. Its pink skin was raw and glistening, like slabs of uncooked meat. Its mouth was lined with jagged, razor-sharp teeth.
"Welcome,"
it growled, voice guttural and chilling. It held a clipboard in one clawed hand, scanning the group like a predator choosing its prey.
"Name,"
it demanded from the first person. When they stammered out a reply, the creature consulted its clipboard.
"You've consumed approximately 500 kilograms of pork in your lifetime,"
it said, voice dripping with malice.
"That's roughly 100 kilograms of flesh I'll need in return."
Before the man could respond, Peppa grabbed him and dragged him out of the cage. His screams echoed as he disappeared into the shadows. Peppa led him into a dimly lit room that looked like a slaughterhouse. The metallic stench of blood was overwhelming. Through the bars, I watched as she strapped him to a table. His screams echoed as her cleaver came down. Blood splattered across the walls, pooling beneath the table. I gagged, bile rising in my throat. The next person was taken, then the next. Each time the creature read out the weight of pork they'd consumed as if it were a sentence, a tally of their sins. And each time, the screams grew louder, more desperate. I couldn't move. I couldn't think. My stomach churned with fear and nausea. Then I heard it again. The wet, sickening thud of a cleaver meeting flesh. Blood sprayed across the walls, dripping down like a grotesque waterfall. Hooks hung from the ceiling, swaying gently with chunks of human meat impaled on them. My turn was coming. I knew it. I began twisting and pulling at the ropes binding my wrists, ignoring the sharp pain as they dug into my skin. My fingers trembled, slick with sweat, but I refused to stop. My experience with tying and untying pork roasts had taught me how to handle knots, and I clung to that skill now like a lifeline. The creature stood before me, flipping through its clipboard. Finally, it stopped and grinned, revealing rows of jagged teeth.
Huh.
It hissed, its glowing red eyes narrowing.
A pork lover, aren't you? Let's see. 750 kilograms. Quite the appetite.
It turned back toward me, the cleaver gleaming in its hand. But the cage was empty. By the time it realized, I was already free, slipping into the shadows, the ropes I'd finally untied falling silently to the ground behind me.
Get back here!
It roared, its footsteps pounding behind me. The hallway was narrow and slick with blood, making every step treacherous. My breath came in ragged gasps as I ducked and weaved, desperate to escape. I spotted a large cabinet and dove underneath, curling into a ball and holding my breath. The creature stormed into the room, sniffing the air like a bloodhound. Its glowing eyes scanned the space, passing over the cabinet. I squeezed my eyes shut, praying it wouldn't find me. Then she crouched.
Found you!
She snarled, her teeth gleaming. Before she could find me, chaos erupted outside. Shouts, crashing metal, the sounds of people fighting back. Pepper hesitated, her ears twitching at the noise.
Stupid pigs.
It muttered before stomping out to deal with the commotion. I didn't waste a second. Crawling out from under the cabinet, I bolted in the opposite direction, following the faint glow of daylight. My legs burned, and my lungs felt like they'd collapse. But I kept running. That night, I sat in my apartment trembling, unable to close my eyes without seeing its face, hearing the screams. The thought of pork, of bacon, of ribs, it made me sick. I didn't need to think twice. I'll never eat pork again.
I sat in front of the mirror, carefully putting in a colourful contact lens for my right eye. I was just a regular cosplayer on TikTok, but today I was modelling for an online game character. I only got this chance thanks to Sarah, who unfortunately got an eye sty right before the photo shoot. Sarah, you just had a small surgery. Are you okay walking alone?
Haha, I still have my right eye. My left eye just needs to be covered for a day. I'll be fine. I'm heading out. Molly, today is a big chance for you. Do your best.
I turned back to continue my makeup when suddenly a loud bang shook the table, knocking everything to the floor. Sarah had fallen, her bag spilling all over the floor, mixing with my makeup items. Sighing, I bent down to help her pick them up. After a while, I finally sent Sarah off and focused on getting ready. Sitting back at my vanity, I put in the left contact lens. Only then did I realise I had grabbed Sarah's lens case by mistake. Luckily, the colour wasn't too different. I took out the lens from the solution and quickly put it on. I stood in front of the camera, confidently striking poses. The flash kept flickering, the shutter clicked rapidly. This was the spotlight I had always dreamed of. After a while, my left eye started itching. I frowned, trying to endure it, but my expression wasn't right, and the photographer had to pause the shoot. A staff member quickly walked over, handing me eye drops and a wet wipe. I used the drops, and the burning sensation eased a bit. I signaled to the photographer that we could continue. Standing in front of the camera again, I forced a smile. My eyes stung, but I held back the discomfort to finish the shoot. That night, I came home exhausted and collapsed onto my bed, too tired to remove my makeup. I yawned, my eyelids heavy. In my restless sleep, my eye started itching. Half asleep, I rubbed it without thinking. A sharp pain shot through my eye socket. It felt like something slipped past my eyeball, sinking deeper into my eye socket, but my eyelids were too heavy to open. The next morning, I woke up with my eyes swollen and bloodshot. The corners were crusted with discharge, so itchy that I kept rubbing them. I lifted my eyelid. Underneath was a huge sty. Looking at myself in the mirror, I bit my lip, worried. I couldn't let this ruin my shoot. Only my left eye was infected. It had to be Sarah's lens. I had a makeup shoot today. I couldn't show up like this. I tried icing it and the burning eased a little. But after 15 minutes, the swelling was still there. I figured the infection had turned into an abscess under my eyelid. Out of options, I pressed on the sty, forcing the pus out. A thick white discharge mixed with blood splattered onto the mirror. The pain was unbearable, but at least the swelling had gone down. Gritting my teeth, I put in my lens as usual and headed to the studio. Standing in front of the camera, the intense lights burned into my eyes. Every blink felt like torture. Both of my eyes stung and tears streamed down uncontrollably. In the end, the shoot had to be stopped. I bowed my head and apologized to the team. As soon as I got home, I rushed to my room to remove my makeup. Standing in front of the mirror, I wiped away the smudged foundation with a cotton pad. Both of my eyes were now swollen, bloodshot. I pulled my right eyelid down and saw tiny white bumps stacked together. Carefully, I used tweezers to remove the lens. Then I pulled my left eyelid, but instead of small bumps, a huge swollen lump bulged in the center. Taking a deep breath, I gritted my teeth and tried to take the lens out, but as I pulled, the edge of the lens scraped against the lump. I could almost feel it bursting like an overinflated balloon. Pus and blood splattered, flooding my eye socket. I screamed in pain, frantically wiping with a cotton pad. The pus soaked through, sticky against my fingers. Trembling, I looked at myself in the mirror. My eyes, puffy, red, and glistening with fluid. With shaking hands, I pulled my left eyelid again. There, buried in the swollen lump, was the corner of my lens. I trembled in fear, my whole body shaking uncontrollably. Tears streamed down my face as I bolted out of the house. My vision blurred. Something pitch black blocked the corner of my left eye. Panic surged through me as I stumbled down the stairs. I missed a step. My foot slipped. Pain exploded through my body as I crashed down. A scream tore from my throat. Dizziness. Agony. I forced my eyes open and found myself in a hospital bed.
You're awake. You're very lucky. Just some minor head injuries. But your eyes, there's a serious issue. You tried to pop a sty, which led to an infection and an abscess. The CT scan also showed several foreign objects lodged deep in your eye socket. They look like contact lenses. We need to remove them immediately before they put pressure on your optic nerve.
His words left me frozen in shock. My stomach twisted. Without hesitation, I agreed to the surgery. Lying on the cold operating table, my eyes were fixed in place. The yellow surgical light blurred everything in my vision. I couldn't see clearly, but I could hear. The soft clinking of metal tools told me the procedure had begun. Even though I had mentally prepared myself, the sensation of cold metal scraping against my eyeball made me want to scream. It turned out there wasn't just one lens stuck in my eye socket. One by one, the doctor slowly pulled out dry, shriveled contact lenses. I could only lie still and endure the endless torment.